After 2000, only on News 2.
November 6th, 2000.
They're going to have incredibly busy travel schedules.
Gore, Lieberman win!
They're going to have massive get-out-the-vote effort.
And if elected, he will be a president that all Americans can be proud of.
The more calls somebody gets, the more it gets them out to vote. We're targeting our bowling alleys and shopping malls.
And they're going to spend massive amounts of money on television advertising.
There's never been a time when I've said something untrue. Really?
By favoring the few, George W. Bush would hurt the many.
It's nearly over, but not over easy.
The race is not outside the margin of error.
Whoever carries Macomb County is going to be the next president.
Tonight, Monday Night Politics. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
From ABC News, this is Nightline. Substituting for Ted Koppel and reporting from Washington, Chris Bury.
There comes a point in all campaigns right about now when there's precious little left to say. For the exhausted candidates, there are those last-minute appearances to squeeze in, but no new issues to raise or questions to answer. The final air assault of campaign commercials is all but over, the gritty ground war of getting out the vote about to begin. In this cliffhanger of a presidential race, after 18 months and about $2 billion, the great irony is that the election could come down to a handful of counties in 2 or 3 states. Even at this late hour, the candidates are taking nothing for granted. Late tonight, Governor George W. Bush ended his campaign where it began in Austin, Texas. His airport rally there capped a day that began in Orlando, Florida, and took him to 7 cities in 6 states, including Illinois, Iowa, Arkansas, and Tennessee. All 4 of those went Democratic in the last 2 elections. Tonight, Vice President Gore is in Florida, a state many analysts believe he must win to cobble together any kind of victory. His final scheduled stop sometime before dawn in Tampa. The latest ABC News tracking poll, as it has for the last 20 nights, shows Texas Governor Bush with a slim edge. Among likely voters, Governor Bush draws 48%, Vice President Gore 45%, Ralph Nader, the Green Party candidate, at 3%, and Pat Buchanan of the Reform Party, 1%. But those numbers can be deceiving, of course, because the Electoral College makes a presidential race 50 separate statewide elections plus the District of Columbia. 270 electoral votes are needed to win. In the ABC News estimate, Governor Bush leads in 25 states with 213 electoral votes. Vice President Gore ahead in 14 states with 192 electoral votes. But 12 states with 133 electoral votes are considered toss-ups. Here, the winning arithmetic becomes confounding because states once considered safe for Democrats, such as West Virginia, are no longer a sure bet. The same can be said of Florida and the Republicans. A short time ago, we checked in with ABC correspondent Dean Reynolds, who's been on the trail with George W. Bush. He joined us from a Bush rally in Bentonville, Arkansas. Dean, it looks like another long rally for you, another long day. What are we to read of Governor Bush ending his day, or nearly ending his day in Arkansas after a stop in Tennessee?
Well, this is the Bush campaign sort of putting their finger in the eye of the Clinton administration. Governor Bush has said earlier in the week that Al Gore is back in Tennessee campaigning, and Bill Clinton is campaigning in Arkansas. And that must be good news if we have one back in Tennessee and the other back in Arkansas.
Early this morning, you left from Florida, where there was a lot of Bush artillery, especially over the weekend. Is the campaign any more confident about Florida tonight or not?
I would say no. I would say that they are holding their breath about Florida. They are claiming that they will win, but no one is quite as expansive on the subject of Florida as they are on other states, like Ohio, for example, and certainly Texas.
Dean, you've been out there now for 18 months, right? And a few thousand miles. Let's ask you one last time to take the temperature. Are they starting to measure the drapes there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
Well, some of the Bush people are talking about housing prices in the Washington area, and some of them are talking about schools for their children. I think there is a pervasive feeling of confidence that they are going to win this thing. We talked to Karl Rove earlier in the week, and he said he expected to get as many as 320 electoral votes. No one on the other side, on the Gore campaign, is making such a claim. But just looking at the demeanor of the governor and their people, his people around him, it would suggest that they're feeling pretty good.
Dean Reynolds, it's going to be another short night for you. Thanks again for helping us out.
No problem.
Earlier this evening, we checked in with ABC's Terry Moran in Flint, Michigan, who was at one of the last Al Gore rallies of the campaign. Terry, give us some idea now of the mood in the campaign. Are they still biting their nails, or are they starting to get ready and order cases of champagne?
Well, I think it's more nail-biting time, Chris. Unlike the Bush campaign, which is, I think, deliberately, strategically putting out a message of confidence and even cockiness, the Gore campaign is not doing that. There's no trace of defeatism at all that I can tell from top to bottom in this campaign, but neither is there a blithe confidence that they're going to roll to victory tomorrow. There is instead a slight nervousness and a determination, I would say.
The big question, obviously, now in the next few hours is going to be the turnout drive, and Democrats traditionally have been pretty good at that. But I understand there's some concern in the Gore camp about the weather tomorrow.
Well, there's two schools of thought in the Gore camp about that. One, of course, is bad weather will depress turnout. Democrats generally do well with bigger turnout. And so bad weather would be bad for the Gore campaign. But someone in the Gore campaign was speculating today that bad turnout could dampen the enthusiasm of Governor Bush's supporters. And Al Gore's supporters, like the unions, have a much more organized, almost mechanized turnout machine that will kick in, and maybe the bad weather won't hurt them as much. So it's typical of everything at this point. Everything is good, everything is bad. Those kinds of nerves are at work in the campaign.
Terry, I know this has already been a long campaign day, and it's only going to get longer. Give us a sense of what the candidate is like on the final day here.
You know, Chris, he is oddly upbeat about it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Al Gore was raised by his father, Senator Gore, to work very hard and like it. And it seems in this final stretch, he's drawing on that. It seems that the harder it gets, almost the happier he gets. It seems like he's going to get to the end saying he's done everything he could and he wasn't out-hustled.
And the last rally is at what time?
4 a.m. in Tampa.
Get out the insomniac vote. Have a cup of coffee on us. Thank you very much, Terry. 3 critical regions, 3 political observers. When we come back.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by IBM.
My brother's son said he had an idea that would make us rich.
That funny-looking kid said that.
Said we can use the internet.
The internet? We ain't selling books, we're selling feed, and we already sell to every ranch in the county.
Harlan, you ever been outside the county? Well?
Give me a minute, I'm thinking.
British Classics, a marriage of Victorian elegance and Caribbean soul. Easily affordable with the simple finance plan from Ethan Allen.
Commuting, $82 every month. Insurance, $62 every month. Trading a checkbook for a storybook, priceless. Now use your MasterCard instead of checks to pay monthly bills automatically.
For the conventions and the debates, ABC News was the most watched. And Tuesday, as votes are cast, America again turns to Peter Jennings and the people of ABC News for unmatched reporting. No wonder more Americans get their news from ABC News. ABC 2000 Election Night.
He has the experience to be president. A life of service from the Army in Vietnam to the Senate, where he broke with his own party to support the Gulf War. He led in the fight for welfare reform. Now his cause is prosperity for all. Improve education with new accountability and smaller class size. Pay down the nation's debt. Strengthen Social Security. Cut taxes for middle-class families. Save our environment. Experience, vision, values. Al Gore.
Craving that one-of-a-kind taste of Long John Silver's? Now you can satisfy your cravings with our new Seafood and More meal. Our famous golden fried fish, crispy battered shrimp, and one of our great new crab cakes. Tender, tasty crab, done that special Long John Silver's way. Served with a delicious new sauce with hush puppies, fries, and slaw. Our new Seafood and More meal, now just $3.99. Come in now, because deals like this don't last long. Long John Silver's, you can't resist the cravings.
Since March, George Bush and Al Gore have visited Florida a total of 38 times. The importance of the state is not lost on Tom Fiedler, editorial page editor of the Miami Herald. He joins us from our affiliate, WPLG-TV. Missouri is one of the key Midwest battleground states being covered by Monica Davey. The Chicago Tribune political reporter joins us from our St. Louis affiliate, KDNL-TV. And from our Seattle affiliate, KOMO, Joel Connolly, national correspondent of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. He has been watching the frequent Bush and Gore campaign visits to his state. Tom, let me start with you, because in any calculation of the arithmetic, it seems that either side is counting on Florida. And the candidates have been there so much, it seems as if they're running for county sheriff or something.
Almost. I think we've seen more of Vice President Gore than we saw of our own mayor when he was on the ballot a month or so ago.
And we've seen the Bushes over the weekend,
right.
Not only Governor Bush, but much of his family.
That's right. And, of course, Jeb Bush is the brother here, first brother, and the governor has been, lately at least, the last week or so, virtually on a continuous loop here. When he hasn't been on the national Sunday talk shows, he's been out around the state.
So on the eve of the election, how is Florida breaking?
Well, it's hard to know if it's breaking. It seems to me that it's as deadlocked today as it was, again, a week or two ago. It's hard to know which way this thing is going to move. Mr. Gore is on his way right here as we speak. There is a midnight beach party for him on South Beach, and then he is to leave here in the wee hours and go over to Tampa, which is another crucial part of the state, another swing part of the state. So they're right to the very last minute. They're hoping to pull maybe a couple of those undecideds, or maybe push out some of the already converted to get to the polls tomorrow.
Monica Davey, you're in Missouri, another one of the battlegrounds, along with Midwestern states such as Michigan and to the east, Pennsylvania. How are those critical battlegrounds breaking right now?
Well, it seems like the important thing to keep in mind about the Midwest this year is that it's easier to name the number of states that aren't battlegrounds than the ones that are. Really, there are a number of states up for grabs, and they really remain up for grabs. I think Michigan, Missouri, Wisconsin, and Iowa are all still in question.
Joel Connolly, you're in Seattle, Washington. Washington should be country for Vice President Gore. After all, Clinton won there twice. It's gone Democratic the last 3 elections. Is it a lock for the Vice President tonight?
The Vice President is narrowly ahead, but we are still up for grabs, and George W. Bush has been grabbing for this state like no other Republican nominee, at least in my lifetime.
And what about Oregon? How is that breaking, especially with the Nader vote surging there?
Oregon is a self-contained and very self-assured place. The Naderites there have been much harder to crack than elsewhere in the country. There has been prolonged bombardment by leaders of feminist groups, environmentalists. We even had a gay baseball player campaigning against Nader and for Gore in Seattle.
You've got a lot of wild cards in each of these regions, and Joel, I suppose the biggest wild card in both Washington and Oregon has been Ralph Nader, who's holding a steady in the national polls at 3%, but is higher in both Washington and Oregon.
He certainly is, and he has a solid rock of support from 2 places. The radical, everybody is a sellout but us wing of the environmental movement on the one hand, and generally alienated voters who went for Ross Perot in the last couple of elections on the other. It is not automatic that every vote that Nader loses will go to Gore. There are certain people who are dissatisfied, who see him as a port of storm, who are going to vote for him regardless of what anybody tells them.
Tom Fiedler, what is the big wild card in Florida? You've got a state there with about 1/3 of the vote 60 or older. You've also got a sizable Cuban-American population. How are these blocks breaking down?
I think, well, the Cuban-American population is going to go solidly with Mr. Bush this time. Some of that is just fallout from the Elian Gonzalez saga. The way to get back, the Cuban-American community get back at President Clinton is to go through Al Gore. So that will be Republican. The real wild card, I think, here in Florida is Republican women voters, and particularly the Republican women who live in the more affluent counties, Sarasota County, Naples area. They tend to actually vote for the candidate who is pro-choice, so they could sneak under everybody's radar.
Monica, I assume the big unknown in Missouri remains the Senate race, where the late Mel Carnahan is still on the ballot against Senator Ashcroft.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to say, you know, today Bush seems to be doing slightly better here in Missouri, but again, Carnahan is still slightly ahead. So everybody's waiting to hear what's going to happen with the Senate race.
If we look at voter turnout in this last 24 hours, what are we going to see? Monica, what sort of get-out-the-vote drives can you tell us about?
Well, you're seeing everything here in the Midwest, and even in some states that some people consider locked up. Some people would say that Illinois was locked up, but you're seeing a serious get-out-the-vote effort going on there with everything from tape-recorded phone calls to pamphlets being handed out to just you name it, everything you'd expect. It does seem like turnout is going to be the key issue.
Very quickly, Joel, what are we seeing up in Washington and Oregon?
We're seeing predictions of up to 84%, at least in populous King County of Seattle, of registered voters going to the polls or casting write-in mail-in ballots, which is very good for Gore, but also in rural areas, the Republicans are mobilizing. Rural conservative Democrats used to be part of our political life. Now they're candidates for the Endangered Species Act.
Last word goes to you on that note, Tom Fiedler.
Yeah, and also we're expecting a record high turnout, and one of the factors here in Southeast Florida is the Joe Lieberman factor for the Democrats. The Jewish Democrats here are very, very excited about that, and that really has driven the Democratic excitement here.
Tom Fiedler, Joel Connolly, Monica Davey, thank you very much for joining us tonight. How does one key county in one key state get out the vote? You'll find out in a moment.
Behind the shadows, under bridges, and in the alleys, some people call them throwaways. Can you imagine how it must feel when your own parents don't want you? When I took over Crossroads, it was a shelter for teens, and it was pretty run down. So we started a project to rebuild, to make it a real home for the kids. Trouble was, we ran short of money before we could even get the roof up. I didn't know where to turn. That's when I called the Philip Morris companies, and they sent us a Christmas present. It covered everything.
The Philip Morris companies know there are many people in jeopardy. That's why over the last 4 decades, we've contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to programs that can make a difference in someone's life.
Now the kids take pride in their home. Philip Morris didn't forget about us either. Whenever we've needed support, they've come through. They've helped me turn a homeless teen shelter into a home.
Working to make a difference. The people of Philip Morris.
I was home, homeward bound. Home, when my thoughts escaping. Home, when my music's playing.
New MSN Explorer. Everything you need to feel at home on the web, all in one place.
That new boss is from another planet.
Totally spaced out at that meeting.
Hey, what's that on your desk?
abcnews.com. Ready when you are.
At HG Hill, you can win a car. It's easy and fun, no matter who you are. It's Wheels of Fortune. Wheels of Fortune.
Go to any area HG Hill and pick up your entry form. Then watch News 2's Wheel of Fortune weeknights at 6:30 from November 8th through the 23rd for the Screen and Secret Words. When you get 5 correct words, mail in your card and you could win this new Ford Mustang.
So no matter who you are, you can win a car. A new pair of wheels from HG Hills. It's Wheels of Fortune.
Brought to you by News 2, HG Hill and Town and Country Ford.
Trial lawyer Larry Trail has a trick.
And we can do it without an income tax.
Did you hear Larry Trail's trick?
We can do it without an income tax.
It sounds like Trail is against an income tax, doesn't it? But that's the trick. Truth, Trail refused to sign the pledge to oppose the income tax for over a month. Why? Maybe it's because half the money behind Larry Trail is from the same lobbyists and insiders who are still pushing an income tax. See for yourself. Larry Trail, the politician with the income tax trick.
This time around, it's not just the knock on the door or the ring of the phone to get people to the polls. It's also grassroots email efforts. But nothing will replace old-fashioned get-out-the-vote campaigns like the one Michelle Martin found this weekend in what could be ground zero for this election, Macomb County, Michigan.
After I make a few comments...
For all the talk about Social Security...
Everybody who pays into Social Security will receive Social Security.
Medicare.
Let's make sure prescription drugs are a part of the Medicare plan for every senior.
The environment.
I'm for clean water and clean air.
The election may come down to the efforts of 3 firemen wearing aprons. Well, not just these 3. In a race this close, both Republicans and Democrats say the outcome will hinge on each side's success in getting its supporters to the polls.
Can Governor Bush and Senator Abraham count on your support this Tuesday?
So dueling armies of volunteers are being dispatched to critical areas like here, the Detroit suburbs. Both sides say it's the biggest get-out-the-vote campaign they've ever seen.
We're fighting for every single vote, and we're working like hell.
Susie Pollock-Roach is here from Boston to help elect Al Gore.
My boyfriend's a little bummed, but he knows that this election matters.
People are understanding.
These volunteers came here from Midland, Texas to work the phone banks. Republicans have invested millions in them nationwide.
What we're doing is we're trying to help with the get-out-the-vote for George Bush. He lived in Midland, Texas for a number of years, and we know him personally, and we highly recommend him.
Every election has its key battleground states. With 18 electoral college votes, Michigan is usually one of them. But within each of those states, there are battleground counties. Macomb is one of those. With 500,000 registered voters, about a third of them independents.
Older communities are more Democratic, the newer communities are more Republican, and in the middle, I call a middle belt of Macomb County, you have the largest concentration of swing voters or independent voters who will determine the outcome of this election.
Adding to the intensity are hard-fought contests at the bottom of the ballot. Tough races for the U.S. Senate, for the State House of Representatives, for a school voucher proposal, even for sheriff.
Hello, may I speak to David, please?
I'm calling to remind you that Tuesday is election day and your vote is critical.
So the voters here are being bombarded with every phone call.
Well, what about Social Security?
Every celebrity that the contenders can muster.
Bush promises the same.
To say nothing of the ads. Almost 3,600 political ads aired here in just 1 week in October.
Does that add up?
Bill Ballinger is the dean of Michigan political pundits.
It's like the old Democratic politician from the 30s, FDR's campaign manager, Jim Farley, said, "I always knew half the money I spent was wasted, but I never could figure out which half, so I spent it all." And you can't be sure that if you knock it off on the airwaves and say, hey, people are saturated, they don't want to hear this anymore, then what? You allow your opponent to just have a free run there for the last 48 or 72 hours before the election? I don't think so.
But even with all these ads flooding the airwaves, the activists here believe that will not necessarily be enough to get people to the polls. To do that, they believe the old-fashioned person-to-person contact is critical at places like the Blue Devils versus Stallions playoff game. Democrat Steve Beda is here in his quest for a seat in the Michigan House.
I'm running for state representative and certainly appreciate all their support.
Incumbent Jennifer Founts was out and about, too.
Grassroots is what it's all about, at least at the state representative level.
Still, all that up-close and personal stuff is harder than it looks.
All right, I want you all to raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I swear.
I swear.
Not to drink and drive.
Not to drink and drive.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You deputized me.
Yeah.
But school officials asked sheriff candidate Mark Hackle to stop campaigning at a local football game. And few people were even home to slam the door in his opponent Steve Thomas's face.
I can't wait to get back to being a full-time father again, you know.
With the race so tight, the national campaigns are employing the same tactics.
Map over on the wall of the entire city of Warren, Michigan, for those of you who are unfamiliar or who have not walked before.
The old notion in politics is that the personal stuff matters 2 to 3%, the door-to-door, the get out the vote. this election is likely to be decided by 2 to 3%.
It's a proven fact that the more calls somebody gets, the more it gets them out to vote.
Hi, my name is Bo Derrick, and I'm a volunteer here.
But even the most dedicated volunteers don't always get quite the response they're looking for, like these union men out stumping for Gore.
Well, I'm going to vote for George Bush.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazingly, after all this effort, some political analysts believe a good number of voters still won't bother to go to the polls.
I think it's going to be a low turnout election. Even if more people vote this year than in 1996, it's still going to be, in historical terms, a low turnout. I think a lot of people are simply not energized and excited about voting for either Al Gore or George W. Bush.
But others here say, with a record of better than average turnout and millions being spent to get them to the polls, these voters could set a new record. This is Michelle Martin for Nightline in Macomb County, Michigan.
The very first votes of the 2000 presidential election have just been cast. Those results when we come back.
To receive a daily email about each evening's Nightline and a preview of special broadcasts, log on to our webpage at nightline.abcnews.com.
Time to buy a Montero Sport. 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for an entire year on our best-selling Mitsubishis. Hurry, this deal ends soon. No two eyes see the same world. No two businesses are identical. And now, one company creates internet solutions unique to you.
Fujitsu. The possibilities are infinite.
ABC this Wednesday is a great night of television when this woman gets to the top.
For $1 million.
On Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Then the Drew Carey Show's coming to you.
5 seconds, Drew.
Live.
I better get into my costume.
And on Spin City.
You want a piece of me?
Charlie Sheen gets the fastest finger from Regis Philbin.
Afraid you might get your dress dirty, Alice? Huh?
Then, before you see a doctor.
Did you care about this patient? Yes. Then why don't you fight for him?
See this Gideon's Crossing. ABC Wednesday, a great night of television.
I believe we need to encourage personal responsibility so people are accountable for their actions. And I believe in government that is responsible to the people. There's a big difference in philosophy between my opponent and me. He trusts government, I trust you. I trust you to invest some of your own Social Security money for higher returns. I trust local people to run their own schools. I trust you with some of the budget surplus. We should help people live their lives, but not run them. I'm asking for your vote.
Are you taxed enough already? Not according to Al Gore. Gore plans to squeeze more money out of middle-class families at the gasoline pump. Gore cast the tie-breaking vote to raise gas taxes 4.3 cents a gallon. He admits he'll add more taxes on gasoline with what he calls a CO2 tax. Gore supported a call to raise taxes so much that gas would cost $3 a gallon. And Gore's ideas are so extreme, if they ever came to pass, Americans would truly be gored at the pump.
Every 4 years, they have their moment in the sun, or in the moonlight, as the case may be. The tiny hamlet of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, population 32, with 27 registered voters, is the first in the nation to cast ballots for the next president, just after midnight on Election Day. The results of tonight's voting were just announced. 21 votes for George W. Bush, 5 for Vice President Al Gore, and 1 vote for Green Party candidate Ralph Nader. So, the first votes are in. But in case you're wondering, Dixville Notch does not have a consistent track record of predicting the winner in presidential elections. For results from the rest of the nation, ABC News election night coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and is expected to go all night long. For detailed results, log on to our website, abcnews.com. That's our report for tonight. I'm Chris Bury in Washington. Don't forget to vote. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. Tomorrow, full election team coverage with unmatched reporting and in-depth analysis on a special edition of ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings tomorrow.
Watch Brett Lee at 10 p.m. only on News 2.